I finally got the Bob Kramer Carbon Steel 2.0 knife, and those of you that have been following me will know that I've been wanting this knife for a very long time. In this video, I'm going to go over all the pros, everything that I love about this knife. And we're also going to go over the differences between version 1.0 and 2.0, but not everything is roses. There is one major letdown. Let's dive in. Oh man, is this thing beautiful, and it is sharp. Zoellen actually had an in-store 30% discount, and that's actually what drove me to finally pull the trigger on this knife. I actually went with the 8-inch version, and out the door I think it was $270, which is a fantastic buy. So this is a carbon steel knife. It comes with all the pros of owning carbon steel with the responsibilities of maintenance. I love carbon steel knives, and I consider them the Ferraris of the knife world. Now, if you want to know more about carbon steel knives or a general video about maintenance and how to care for them, or maybe you have some discoloration or rust on the knife itself, I have a video going over two very popular options, and I will link it here. But it's a great video to reference, especially if you are considering being a carbon steel knife owner. Okay, now let's talk about general features. So what's the difference between version 1.0 and 2.0? Well, 1.0 had a lot of issues, primarily in the handle. The handle was made out of wood, and due to moisture or just general environment, the handle would warp or flex, and it would cause separation. The rivets would actually come out or come apart, and that caused a lot of warranty claims for the company. And that's really what primarily caused me to wait. I didn't want to invest in 1.0, seeing all the issues on the internet. There are some issues, some pictures of the handle completely separating, so I wanted to wait until the company had the chance or the opportunity to address these quality concerns. So when 2.0 finally came out addressing those concerns, and Bob Kramer's an absolute legend, I had to get one for myself. I absolutely love Bob Kramer's attention to detail, the way he really thinks about the ergonomics and his choice of materials. I love his design. Sometimes, some people think this knife is ugly because of the blade shape, but when you actually use it, it's fantastic. So 2.0 addressed the handle. The handle is now micarta, and basically it's a resin that's interspersed with cloth fabric. And what that does is it reinforces it. It's very stable, it's very tough, it's gonna last for a very long time. Unlike wood, it's not gonna move, it's not gonna deform. So that's a big plus in my mind. And I think it still looks absolutely beautiful. Another thing that they did and tried to improve on is move the distilled taper in the manufacturing process. If you want a complete overview on 2.0 and what they did, Bob Kramer actually has a video on YouTube. It's about 2 minutes long. It's probably from like 3 years ago or so, but he kind of goes over what they did specifically to address the handle and the taper. But long story short, 2.0, this knife should now last for a very long time. Okay, now let's talk about the pros to this knife. There's a lot of pros. The first thing is this thing feels great in the hand, and it was incredibly sharp right out of the box. Now, of course, I would have loved to have owned a original from Bob Kramer himself, but I think Zoellen did a fantastic job of manufacturing this knife, this blade, to Bob Kramer's standards. Although the handle's no longer wood, I do appreciate the high quality resin. And I really think that it is an improvement now because you do not have to worry about that separation. You're gonna, basically have a handle that's gonna last for a very long time. And I still think it looks beautiful. They really kept that elegance. So for me, I think the micarta handle is a pro over the wood, although I really do enjoy wood. And the brass highlights, the brass, that they used along the handle for the rivets and just the accents, just really make this knife look extremely elegant. Now again, I got this for $270 out the door with taxes and everything included, and I think at that price point, it's a fantastic buy. I did go with the 8-inch version. I have my 10-inch Japanese carbon steel knife, so I feel like that kind of fits the bill for a larger knife. I wanted something a little bit smaller, a little bit easier to handle for everyday use. However, I do wish that they offered a 9-inch version of this knife because I think that would be the perfect middle ground. And then one more thing that I want to add is I am a choke grip type of guy, and I feel like it is an extension of my hand. So that's a big pro. Now on to the huge disappointment that I mentioned during the intro. So I actually didn't notice this until a buddy of mine pointed it out, and now I can't unsee it. But it's actually regarding the coil. So they've actually removed the cutout here, and that was a big disappointment once it was pointed out to me. Now, what really aggravated me was all the pictures that I've seen, even on the box, includes the coil cutout. And then likewise, if you open up the box, even the advertisement that's included inside still has the cutout. So that was kind of really disappointing. Now, I handled 1.0, and I handled it a couple years back, but I went to the store repeatedly because I was so in love with it. And I really loved how it felt in my hand, especially with my choke grip style. That cutout had the perfect location for your fingers to rest in, and I really liked it. And personally, I thought it looked really cool, but I know that was, kind of split on the internet. Some people liked how it looked, some people didn't, but functionality, it was perfect for me. I have large hands, so it was practical. So I called the store, I spoke to the representative, I was trying to understand, if I just had a weird one, or maybe I still had 1.0, or some Frankenstein version of this knife. And he did confirm. He checked his inventory. He had like 20 of them in the store, opened them all up, and none of them had that cutout. So at some point in time, there was a design change that was never really announced. But again, if there was a design change, it must have happened pretty recently, because even in the video where Bob Kramer is going over the differences between version 1.0 and 2.0, his 2.0 knife has that cutout. So Llewellyn, I don't know what happened, but you guys snuck in a design change. Now, I did attempt to try to research it to see what happened. I did find a Reddit post where someone was actually asking or addressing this issue. And in that post, someone had an original Bob Kramer that they purchased from Bob over 10 years ago. Now, this made me feel a little bit better, but in that picture, the original knife from Bob Kramer himself from 10 years ago, the original design, looked exactly like this blade. It did not have the cutout. So maybe they went back to Bob's original or true intentions of what he thought the design should be. I don't know. So I have mixed feelings. On one hand, I liked it. It felt really, really nice. On the other hand, we may be going back to Bob's true original design, but also I didn't really notice until my buddy pointed it out. But now I can't get it out of my head. So how does this knife compare to my other knives? Look, by all means, I'm not saying you need to go out and purchase a $250 or above carbon steel knife in order to be a good cook. I really think the Victorinox that I recommended is a great beginner knife, or if you want something that's a little bit more of a balance between functionality and style, maybe the Dale Strong is a better knife for you. There's other options out there. Those knives are not carbon steel, so maintenance is very low and easy. But having one very high quality knife is a thing of beauty. Maybe consider a high quality knife once you've kind of locked in the fundamentals of knife handling, knife care, and really honed in your skills regarding chopping and knife techniques. And of course, you should never neglect knife maintenance and knife sharpening. That's a very important part of knife ownership. Check out a video that I made about knives in general. There's a lot of good information for beginners in that video in regards to which knives you should actually own and invest in. But I also touch up on maintenance and sharpening. There's a lot of good information for those of you that are serious about home cooking. Take care, everybody.